magic in the air under the moonlight.
Welcome to Pan a la Carte, players only. Today we have in the studio Chantal Esdelle.
Hi Noel, thanks for having me.
Hi Chantal. From
Hi.
that, you're so nice, oh gosh. And having it here, I remembering all festival. I remembering your mom. I got a whole flashback there just now. Fast, so good. All right, so this is gonna be nice. This is gonna be nice. This is gonna be nice. Chantal, welcome to Players Only. All
Thank
right.
you.
This is where I would like you to open up and let us know more about Chantal, the things that we don't do, the little laboring in the art form. You know, because the art form is a laboring process, you know.
It's a labor.
Right?
Yeah.
Yes, right. So
A labor of love.
labor of love. I hear you. I sure I did. A serious love, you know. It's like, well, you could take on, you could take breakup, you could take argument, you could do. I come the competition, we all is friends still.
That's right.
Right? So we're moving on. Right? So Chantal, let me know about Chantal. Let me know about your background growing up, how it all started off for you, you know, school.
Well, every time I give my beginnings, I always start with Pan Piper's music school. Uh,
Miss
my
McIntosh.
Louise McIntosh. My father was a good friend of Louise McIntosh and the McIntosh family, and at the age of maybe a four plus, he took me to Pan Piper's. He was probably just visiting Louise, and I asked to stay because I wanted to have a piano lesson. It was piano first. And so at 4 plus, I started taking piano lessons. But my dad, being a cultural person and ex-Highlanders bass player, McQuilkin, and they would know him from there,
Right,
was
right.
very sure that his daughter should also play pan. Plus, Louise McIntosh was also a music teacher and musician who taught and used pan at her music school. So when I was 8, I got a tenor pan from Leroy Thomas, also another East person. So at that time, by 8 I was doing, the normal groove for a young musician in Trinidad and Tobago is that you would do Royal School piano exams and theory
Exams.
exams and
Yes, yes.
so on. So by 7, 8 I had already done like grade 1 or 2. 1 or 2. I'd probably grade 2 by then. Because by the time I was in high school, I was in grade 4. So grade 2 piano, and I started doing pan at Pan Pipers. And Miss McIntosh had what she called a seniors pan ensemble. And at the time, her senior students, who were Harold Headley and Sat Sharma and so on, they were leading that, and so I was part of that senior pan ensemble. But also at Pan Pipers, there was a general sense that music was something that you could really do. I felt for me that my mainstay was Pan Pipers, and then I went to school on the side.
Oh, shucks.
That is where I love to be. That's what I like to do, to play music. And so I was at Pan Pipers with Miss McIntosh until I was 18, when I left to go and study music, first at Berklee College of Music, and I later did my master's at York. But at Pan Pipers, I did up to grade 8 piano. Because of high school, Jocelyn Seeley was my vocal coach, so I did up to grade 8 voice. And then at Pan Pipers, because of the influence of Miss McIntosh, I was encouraged to solo in school festival. And I did well there. I mean, my time in school festival was the time of Darren Shepherd and Wentworth Richardson and Liam Teague and Andre Busby, and so all of us were in that crop.
Your name was calling in between there. It was in the papers.
Very much so. I was right up inside of there with all of them.
Yes, it was inside.
I was like the only girl at the time, the youngest in the crew, right up inside.
Yes.
So So, you
But
know,
but before that, you did something on television representing Pan Pipers.
yes, I did. I used to play. I entered 12 and under as a piano student, right?
But it's someday I know it's Chantal Esdelle. But
Yeah,
I keep putting the pan there also, right there. I don't know why.
Teen Talent. I did Pan, but
Okay.
when I entered in 12 and under, I was playing piano. Yeah,
All
so
right, all right, all right, all
yeah,
right. So that was tell people I still long time. The development of players was different, and we never used to look at it like how it's being looked at now, right? But the development of players because of the music festival and the competition and the standard of practice and to execute, it was
to
totally
execute.
different. It was a total different discipline. The discipline was different.
Different, and I
Yes.
think that we got a taste of different kinds of music because for school festival they always pick something by Sharp or Samaru or Tanker for us to play as a
Mhm.
test piece.
Mhm.
So we
Mhm.
were exposed to that, and then just the way that you thought about playing the instrument, the effect you wanted to get. And at the
Mhm.
time, many of us played in large festival too because I met Arden in '88 playing in Invaders for Pan
Yes.
Festival because Louis McIntosh was
Yes.
there. And he's the person who suggested to me actually. He said, Chantal, you could well play and why you do solo? And I started. So,
Oh
but
shucks.
at the time we were doing classical pieces and you listened to Dvorak, New World Symphony, the fourth movement, and you know your part, and it was just a different experience. And then I also had the opportunity as a young player. I played in Lincoln Enterprises for a little while too, while Bradley
Okay.
was arranging there. Yeah, because
Nice,
remember we
nice,
also
nice.
had that going on. Noel, they
Yeah,
had
the
small sides
Ramage and
playing. We
yes.
had festival going.
Yes, yes, yes.
It wasn't
Yes,
just
yes, yes.
Panorama. It
Yes, it
wasn't
wasn't
just.
just Panorama. No, it wasn't Panorama alone because the Ramage had a good standard, the Ramage had a real good competition,
I
What?
love that. I
Yes,
never played, but I used
yes,
to
yes.
love going to that. And you learn both from listening and from playing. Huh?
Yes. So so how integral? Well, I know your mom. I can't say I know your dad. I know your mom, and I always know your mom side and side.
Side and
So
side.
how influenced was your mom?
My mother was, you can't just say supporter, when you stand by a child, because I don't think it was normal for people to take on what their children would say. Well, I don't know, I shouldn't make generalizations. Let me just say, in my case, when I was 8, I made a declaration that I wanted to be a musician. And just around the time I had started doing exams and so on, my mother took out a piano on terms at Louis Gilman Thomas. Well, you know about that music shop?
Yes, I know that Louis Gilman Thomas.
Yes, she took out
Yes.
a piano on terms at Louis Gilman Thomas. When I started to play pan and I went to school festival, no problems. When I was, and then she was a secretary in CDC and then NCC. And she was also a
Okay.
PRO in All Stars. And I, as a little child, I was inside everything. I was in the savannah all the time, with my grandmother, with my mother. And so when I said I wanted to play for Panorama, at the time I was maybe 14, the first time I wanted to play for Panorama. And because I live in Tunapuna, I was going by birdsong. My mother didn't have any problems with that. If you understand what I mean. Like, I don't know if she had
Yes.
problems, but where music was concerned, I was never told no. Where
Yes.
music was concerned, I was never told no. Never.
But your mother was, you say your mother was PRO All Stars?
Yeah, between 80. No, I don't want to get it wrong. 80. It would have been 86, the late 80s.
Okay. Well,
It was
so
the
how you
late
end up at
80s.
Desperados? So how you end up at Desperados?
You see the background also?
You end up at
Well,
Desperados.
that's what I tell you. But you have to say more than support. You stand by a child. When I always love, my doorway into Desperados was really Clive Bradley. As
Okay.
a young musician, I latched on to him early. the year that the band played Rebecca, I was left at my aunt's home in Bigger Martin when my parents went to Panorama, and I listened to it on the radio. And that year, All Stars also played Rebecca.
Yeah.
And when they came to pick me up, I informed them that Desperados played the better Rebecca, as far as I could hear, as a little person. I was about 7 or 8 at that time. And I envisioned the man who made this music, this Clive Bradley that they're talking about, as a tall, elegant, dark man, because the music sounds so... I always have to tell people that, because it's jokey, because he wasn't that.
He was.
A short, red, miserable fella. But I
Yes.
was, I must he was seeing Orisha's spirit when I hear what he had to offer, because I hear a tall, stately, dark man, and I say I had to play what he had to offer. I didn't get the opportunity to do that until in the last years of Pandemonium. After I played in school festival, I entered school festival as a soloist with panpipers. And then I wanted to play in a group, because school festival is where a lot of our friendships from my generation were forged. And I had friends in El Dorado Senior Comp who were going to panpipers. So I played in Eldo. And I met a good friend of mine who would end up being my boyfriend after a little time. He was playing in Pandemonium, and I say, who is the arranger down there? And he said, Bradley. I say, well, okay, I'm coming.
Oh, shucks. Oh,
And again, I'm still a high school student, and my mother was again, well, I know you like Bradley, because since you're small, you're talking about this person. So yes, go ahead.
wow.
And
Go
that year,
ahead.
I was still in high school, and I played in Pandemonium. Because I was in Eldo, I also supported Clarence Morris. And because I was living in Tunapuna, I still playing birdsong. And still going to school, still doing well. So she was right there with me. So I ended up in Pandemonium, and then Desperados for me was a musical choice. When I first went up the hill, my mother didn't take me. She
So how
wasn't
come
on.
wait. How come you didn't go down in the village? How come you end up down by the riverbank?
Bugsy swear I play, I said no, I didn't.
Yeah,
Because,
because I thought I saw you there. You understand? I thought I
you,
saw you there.
you would have seen me because, well, my mother and them grew up in Woodbrook, so I would have been there. But again,
Yes.
all you know that it's really where your heart is with Steel Band, where it is settled. She was in Ostars, and one of my friends' father, who was a taxi driver, was going up the hill, and I said, Mommy, I could go up with Elwin? And she said, yes, you could go up with him. And when he drive up Lavanty Road, and I look back, and I started to feel how I was feeling when I was going up in that car. We reach up on top of that cast. I say, well, this is the band that I will play with.
Oh, shucks.
This is the band I will be playing with. And she never used to drop me there. I always, at the time, Trinidad was a different place. You know that, Noel. I would
Yes,
take a
yes, yes,
taxi right there on that bridge
yes, yes,
and
yes,
go
yes,
straight up
yes,
the
yes.
road and
Yes.
drop from Curtis afterwards in Woodbrook and sleep, and then in the morning to get early morning practice. Just walk across town, jump in a car again.
Yes.
Trinidad,
Uh, yeah, the
different
traffic
now.
used to be better. It used to be different. Plenty taxis working,
In
plenty people traveling. You could have go up there anytime. I used to go up there all in hours of the morning.
morning,
Yes, just to hear Bradley and the band practice, because Fierce used to go till morning, right? And them going till morning. So so used to go up there and spend the other part of the morning,
yeah.
and it was never intimidated. Now it is intimidating, right? But it was different. But anyways, back to you, and you
Yeah.
start off and thinking eating pan pipers and so forth and so forth. So your biggest influence, who or what was it?
Okay. Um, I was thinking of that question, and I think that there are different things that have been influenced around.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that in Louise McIntosh's school is where I learned how to be committed. and focused and structured in my approach to learning and practicing music. One, that's the influence. Uh, in loving the music of Clive Bradley, that I think shaped how I think about how clear parts should be and function should be when I write things for my group or perform in an ensemble. Clarity of structure.
Okay.
And then for me, performance wise, I'm most inspired by is outside the home, but I am most inspired by Chucho Valdez as a pianist and a musician and
Mm-hmm.
icon for Caribbean music because he's not just a pianist. He's the man who would start Joe Jazz and activate the junior, Joe Jazz was their junior jazz competition, and have a jazz festival and keep on doing things within the community to keep building music in your country. So I think as an artist and activist, I hold
Mm-hmm.
Chucho very dear as a shining light in the Caribbean.
What
So
you're
I say
saying there,
Louis, Clive, and Chucho.
what you say about Chuchu, I heard something similar in China from these people, Singapore. I think it's Singapore. Singapore is not Singapore. It's Singapore. Singapore has the one of the world's biggest festivals, right? And they say that for you to have a successful a festival, it should start building from within your community, your village,
Yeah.
right? And I see what he's doing across. Say he's keeping the music alive in his village by having the JoJo festival and so forth. And you see that happening in Trinidad to keep anything alive. Trinidad and Tobago. You see anybody in any organization doing this to keep this thing alive, that the generations will come and it will grow. Because you have to start from within the community. You can't run the box office all the time. You can't run to the number one best seller because they're taking your money and leave. All
Yeah.
right. So there's a reason for in your community. But you seeing that happening home here in Trinidad and Tobago, anybody, any committee, any organization doing any art form of culture to keep building growth in communities?
The simplest answer for that is no. It's a sad answer and it's a hard answer, but it is the straightest answer. In order for us to think about community growth, we must be very clear that children learn to play music at a young age. And
Mm-hmm.
that learning to play music is not just about preparing yourself for a Royal School exam. It is about learning about who the musicians are in your land, who the people past, the people
Mm-hmm.
present. You
Mm-hmm.
must you must know both. And you must know the
Yes.
music in such a way that you could both play it and arrange it. And you must have a sound musical foundation. You must understand melody and harmony and not just the theoretical aspect of it. You must
Eh,
also, yeah, point.
eh.
You must also know, you must know, yeah, to give it that Trinidadian color, you know where we is.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, you must have a practical application of it in your own, so that you understand what you are playing. So that's foundational things. And then you must have avenues in which to perform and play and practice and generate community. And then you need support around shows that continually allow you to expose yourself. We're just thinking of a whole line of development and presentation, and I could say that I think that we were better in the 80s than we are now. We
Yes,
were better.
because when I look back at my career professionally, right, it started off in Bermuda. I have to say that I was not a professional in Trinidad and Tobago, doing blockos and a little play out here and going on a little cultural exchange. I classify that as semi-professional, all right, or now between amateur and understanding certain aspect of what professional being a professional would have to do. But when I went out to Bermuda and I see professionalism being totally 6, 7 nights a week, this is your job. You're getting your salary. This is the level of people you're working with. The real book was my best friend, right? Because I was to go there, right? And that discipline, I don't see that discipline in Trinidad since back then, right? Even getting together to jam session or just develop your playing skills. Because I think that is very important, right?
Extremely.
mu- yeah, so musicians used to set up their own thing, like in San Antonio, used to go in a dance a company venue to just musicians to just get together and play with each other, play their own music. You get to hear other people interpret your music, right? They ask you questions, right? You learn new music, they learn ideas from you because some of the people I've been to went Berkeley and thing, and I was saying, but I'm not ready for this, right?
Yeah.
But they telling me what I doing,
Yeah.
right? They
The
related to what,
interaction
and
is
I
very
say,
little.
yes, and I am not ready for. I know. Here I tell them, I say, no, no, just I going with it, right? And they interpreting something different. That kind of experience, you think that lacking in Trinidad and Tobago in the development aspect,
It is, well, it is hard. And what I mean, as the simple answer was no. And
right?
the next step for me as an artist and someone who reveres people who act is that's what I've been doing. Ever since I returned home from Berkeley. I graduated in 97, so by January 98 I was back at home. And that's when Sobers and I started Moyen. And just to cover ourselves, I started a company too. And if you respect your work, you will do an album. So one of the first things we did in 2000, which is 2 years, roughly 2 years after we started, we did an album, and it was Sobers, myself, Sean Thomas Jr., and a bass player
Junior,
from St. Lucia to start it, and then keep on doing gigs as much as we could line them up in Trinidad, push our stuff outside. We got to do a few festivals. We did Havana International Jazz, Grenada Spice. We work in Dominica for 6 weeks, do a gig in London. So just to keep, to keep things going. Of course, Moyen has had different people really contribute. Jason Batiste blessed us with his presence for a few years, and I benefited greatly from just being with Jason in that group, the way
I
Jason is
hear you.
play and what
I
he's
hear, yeah,
picked to
yeah.
do, and so
Yes, his choice of notes is amazing.
wow, just out of this world. And then finding now that's Noel, you would know this, that Trinidad's, I don't want to use the word gig, but performance scene be, began getting even thinner than it was around 2015, I would say.
Let me don't go there yet. I come
20,
into there with you. Don't go there yet. Don't go there
they don't go.
yet. Don't go there yet because it is it's really watered down, honestly. Because what I wanted to tell you, you did your album in 2000,
And then
2000.
we
I
did
released
another
my
one in 2010, yeah. So we did another one.
2000. I released my first album also because when I came home and I formed Pan Group, well, Pan Group production was always with me all the years after leaving Bermuda, but I registered it, I established what is Pan Group production, right? It's not about likes and thumbs up. Back then, you had to sell yourself, right? You had to sell yourself. So you have to produce something and put it out there to know where, as a yardstick, to know where you want, see how your CD selling, see how your music going, wherever it is. And that is lacking right now. So that's why I don't want to talk about 2015 because 2015 I know is lacking. So back then you had something to work towards to sell yourself, right? It's an achievement, it's an accomplishment to put out your music or even do original music. We are
Yeah.
lacking original right
Yeah, when
now.
I was at school, they said that,
Yeah.
you have to show that you are invested in your work, and this is one of the ways that you do that.
Mm-hmm.
And well, I don't know if you want me to go there, but I've always I've always been working on also ways for us to put on our own things. This is ever since back then. So in like 99 or something, I had a Queen's Hall honor performance, and the honor performance was Moyen and the Ruiz brothers. That was the honor
Right.
performance.
That was a
And
good.
then
That was a good ticket.
and then for 3 years or something, I did jazz on a Thursday at K-Pop, and I didn't just have my group. Every week was some configuration of the existing jazz community, but I was managing it so that we have
Right.
something going there. Then inspired by the Joe Jazz thing in Havana, because they had invited me to adjudicate one year. And when I came back, I did a version of it in Trinidad that I called Jazz Debut. And it worked well for some young people because there was a group called Blue Culture, and they came out of that. So
Hmm.
every year I did Women in Jazz several times as a fundraiser for my alma mater. So you also have to do, unfortunately, in our environment, you also have to do your own productions. And
Yes. Correct.
under the Ethnic Jazz Club, that's what also, so it's not just managing Moyen, it's also having things, and it can't be just you, because we have a small
No.
jazz community, so you have
Yes.
to incorporate and include other people.
Yes. Yes.
So,
Because fan group production, that is what it is about. Entertainment for all
mhm.
occasions. Put on your own event, right? Put on your own event, build a cast, have a cast. Don't just have a cast because you're having a cast sake. Your cast has to know what you're
Yeah.
selling, right?
Hmm.
Have a title of what you're selling, right? So your music, your repertoire could embrace that, and you have a good show, right? These are things we had was to learn. What I learned on the fly or by to travel, or even working with Troy Arming,
Yeah.
right?
And that we have to do here out of necessity, because,
Yeah. Right. And
yeah.
no, nobody doing these things. Right. When I did my first show, a man asked me, who you think is La Pierre?
For
You
real?
understand? Yeah, who you
Who
think
you
is?
think is to have a
Yeah,
show?
just because my name was but we not no big promoter name putting on Carnival Fest, you can come and ask for 2 tickets. You understand? Right? Who you think is? Right? My show went on, right? Yes, it didn't score a break even, right?
Which is
But I
excellent
did
for
the
first
next
show.
one.
Yeah.
And the next one, then I move on from gift to dad, right? And I went on to intimate moods, right? That do good. That's a different whole repertoire of songs to create the intimate. It's not that I name a thing. You have to create that mood. So you have to have the backup artist to give it that mood, the guest artist, and then who. So you have to learn to put together shows. A show mustn't be a show because you're doing a show. All right. So
Yeah.
things you learn,
Yeah,
things
so
you
I,
learn.
I guess we have to be fair and say that there are pockets of people doing that work. There are pockets of
Yeah.
people doing that work, and we could see it in various ways from different groups, from Lois Lewis with her vocal shows to any pan group that decides that they having a thing. Everybody having pockets of shows and so on, but consistency is hard to maintain without support. What
You have to
I've
have
been
a bad
doing,
mind. You have to have a bad mind. You
you
have to have
have to
a
have,
mind. Yeah,
yeah,
and focus. No distract. You cannot be distracted. You have to stay focused.
gotta stay focused. What I have been doing is I've been blessed in that my family allows me to use my grandmother's house. I use my grandmother's house as a studio. We call it the EJC's Jazz Studio. And as you know,
Where is that located? Where
it's
is that located?
51 Cornelius Street, Woodbrook. That's the space. And since 2014, I've been having presentations at that house. And not just ad hoc presentations, but presenting a calendar for the year. September to June is the year. These are the shows that we are having. And the space is small, so that it seats about 25 people closed. But you do 2 sets and that's your show, 50. You know?
So,
You do two
so
sets
how
and
we
you have
coping
your
out
show.
now? So how we coping out
Well,
now when it gone down
yeah,
to
yeah,
10?
yeah, the morph. So what we're doing now is this last Friday gone was the first time that we've started video recording performances at the studio. So
Okay.
Moyen video recorded this past Friday. And the move is that we'll be offering a subscription where people can pay for viewing of 3 performances per month. And you'd have a listing of what those 3 performances are, etc. So we setting that up so that
Right.
as soon as we get this one up and we do this month, that we will have a string of performances available for subscription. Because one of the challenges of musicians now is we are providing a lot of free content where
Mm-hmm.
people are given an option to contribute,
Mm-hmm.
and where we of course you must have teasers, you must have your free stuff to tease you. If you want to see more, you could go. But
Yeah.
it is a way for us to, in a way, I think, expand your audience beyond Trinidad if you can. You have to
Yeah,
start
because
with who would subscribe at home, but then you have to also push it as far and wide as you can. And figuring that out as individuals is hard. It would be good if we had uh, industry support. We always talk
yes,
about the fact that, you know, to develop oil and gas took an investment, and arts and music and art in Trinidad has never had that same investment happening.
no. No, imagine
So
I was told just recently from a big supplier in Trinidad, because they never banned their product, they just closed down the hours, but the product keeps selling in the supermarket, people still drinking it. Yeah, they come and say, well, no, they cannot make a contribution, right, to Pan a la carte, right? 'Cause I try to show how informative it is and thing, right? It's like, come on, right? Nothing wrong with this. The whole world, right? But they're not meeting musicians halfway at all. They're not. They want everything for nothing.
so
I find that unfair. Right?
so
But anyways,
mhm.
where was going to say?
No,
Continue.
I was just saying, I was just thinking as you were saying that we have no choice but to continue to approach state and private entities for support. That's how the art survives. So
Yeah.
we cannot we cannot step back on that. We must keep on pressing. And for all the people who are doing private industry building, like yourself, like me,
Mm-hmm.
like there are many people who are doing
Yeah.
it. We need to continue doing that work. And for all the people who are listening, we like a lot of things on Facebook, and I think it's nice if we could follow through by continuing to visit people's pages and actually seeing what's there and actually supporting what is there.
Yes.
If you
Yes.
hear
And
me
make honest
today,
com make
Chantal Esdelle, and you want to check out what Chantal Esdelle has to offer, you could, Google Chantal Esdelle, Google Noel La Pierre, Google, you know,
mm-hmm.
Mark Musker, Natasha Joseph. You could Google it, you could see our sites, you could subscribe and support in that way, because it is necessary to have public support as well as support from government and from
Yes.
state and
And
private
cooperative.
yeah,
Yeah.
entities.
Yeah. So well, you tell me how we are your situation with the venue on Cornelius Street and stuff. So that means you setting up your opportunities personal. You managing your opportunities then. You
Yeah,
seeking your opportunities.
that's the way it has to be.
Right.
The way it has to
Right.
be.
And if it wasn't a pianist, pianist, or what you would have been, Natasha? What do you think you would have
You call me Tasha Chantal
No,
Noel.
Natasha call you. Oh,
Yes,
Chantal.
yes.
All like my sister's girl.
No.
You understand?
I remember earlier I told you that I decided at 8 that I was going to be a musician. So when people ask me that question, if it wasn't doing music, what you would I be doing? I really
Wow.
can't tell you, I really can't tell you.
Ay,
My
ay, ay,
that
ay,
that
ay.
purpose was laid out for me so early in the game. So early in
You
the
know,
game.
like,
The most I could be now is despondent about what happened, or a little down or something, but the idea of changing lanes
mhm,
never
yeah,
occurred. Never.
yeah. Well, it was so ironic that I went up working Guardian in the production department doing advertising, right? Layouts and design commercial work.
Right.
I played pan all that time, but pan ain't making no money. Invaders calling to go on a free gig. Boom, come on, I get the job after the fire, Guardian fire. Right? When I left that job, I went on my own. I always had aspiration, independence. Now, for some reason, from young, I like independent. But when my phone rang for the tour to go Bermuda, I took it instantaneously because 2 years prior, I was in Atlanta with Boogsy and Phase 2, and I just called to say I love you. Boogsy turned that song upside down, wrong side, left to right, right to left. Oh, we want to approach the song, right? And he had people going crazy. The police on horse. We was to stop since 7 o'clock, and it's 9 o'clock now, and there I get my vibes. This is what I supposed to be doing. This, you understand? Like I catch up power like that. Just said, this is what I be doing, and I end up doing it 2 years later.
Yeah.
So it is so much mentally challenging, right? Where to get that direction and that purpose to understand. So I can understand what you say. By 8 years old, you done destiny to
I
that,
can
right?
say that's
Yeah,
what I'm doing here.
yeah. 4 years, right? I say I want to be like I'm a father and his friends because everybody playing pan. Nobody in the area ain't doing nothing besides playing pan. So I want to prepare. I want to
Yeah,
prepare. I want to be with them.
yeah, you could
Right?
get it.
And it's amazing. It's amazing. Like talking to you, we talking here and thing, and we share similarities, and it's nice. I'm learning a lot by just listening to you, Chantal. You know. Right. So let me move on. You talk about Rebecca being the inspirational song, but what's the best panorama song you play?
Best panorama song I play was In My House, 99. For two reasons. I joined Desperados before, and when I joined Desperados, Bradley was not the arranger. My beloved Robert Gunnage, and I did get a piece of Beverly too. They were arrangers.
Mm.
So when Bradley returned to his house, that title is significant and all. When he returned to the house, In My House, and I was able to play that song in that band with that arranger, that is the best thing. And because I was going on in the band, Bradley asked me to play a seconds. I was playing tenor before, so I play
Mm.
seconds. Now you know about arrangement, so you know that playing a double seconds in Desperados with Bradley for that song, that's the best. The year after was nice, but the first one for me was the best.
But I
Yeah.
find let's make plenty papers with Desperados, because I remember seeing that picture.
I just make plenty papers. All right.
I see that picture. I see that picture.
Yeah, that was good. That was a
All
good
right,
one.
all right, all
I
right,
did.
all
I
right,
did
all
my,
right.
my master's thesis was on that too. When I was at York,
Yeah.
my preface is that in the Americas, as African heritage people, we tell our stories through music. Because remember, our language, the most we could hold on to is patois. It's that thing that they have
Mm-hmm.
in Haiti that we speak
Yeah.
everywhere, Trinidad, Grenada,
Yeah.
St.
Yeah.
Lucia,
Aruba,
Dominica,
everywhere.
everywhere.
Yeah.
So that's the
Yeah.
most we could hold on to. But other than that, the only thing I think that was holding our mind together and keeping our consciousness alive was music. And my that was the premise of my masters, and there's lots of work to support it. And my musical example of it was In My House. The title of it is In Our House, and I was just showing how Bradley told his story of return to Desperados in the arrangement of In My
Wow.
House. That's
Wow.
how good that year was for me.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow. Amazing. Amazing. Yeah, I'm feeling good, girl.
yeah.
Right? Yeah, I'm feeling good. Yeah, I'm feeling good. So here now, you went away, right, to study and stuff. That was between 19
I went to Berkeley 1994 to 1997, and I got my bachelor's degree, and so that's BMUS. At the time, pan was not considered a principal instrument at Berkeley. So my principal instrument at Berkeley was piano, and my major was jazz composition. My having one pan festival was useful though, because my audition recording was my grade 8 piano um, program, a grade 8 voice program, and my 1992 Pan Championship win video. So it was instrumental in me getting scholarship money. But my first degree was 94 to 97. Piano was my principal and jazz comp was my major. I went to do my master's later on in my life. So I did my master's between 2007 and 2009 at York University, and that was in ethnomusicology. So, yeah.
But I remember me singing after that first episode
In
in
fact,
the
I
school.
said, I slip. When I was at York, I came home, like I started in 2007, and I still came home to do Tobago Jazz in 2008. And then, well, I was up there for obvious. Summer is a useful time to be in North America, so I was up there.
Yeah.
And then for the end of it, my research was home, so I was back home. So even though the span of the masters is 2007 to 2009, you could say that I really spent a year and a half more so there.
Yeah, because you're driving in Mazda 323 still.
No, not that time. That time I was in the pickup truck then. Yeah.
All right.
323 was my mother's car.
Yes, you used to drive.
Yes.
People, we here with Chantal on Players Only. We having a nice chat here. Nice chat. So welcome those who just join us. You know, it's amazing the life of a musician of all caliber. Right? So we'll be moving on. So what you have for them young players, we could tell them, advise them, because they have plenty. I would say I have a problem, but I can't understand them. They don't respect the ones before them, right? They don't have an idea. They don't romance the instrument, right? They don't buy no instrument. They don't invest in themselves. And the list could go on. What advice you have for these young players who fill those categories?
Noel, before I start, we have to notice, we call it adultism run, as elder folks in the pan fraternity. Remember to always give the youth space. So we have to remember that. Having said that though, I'll start to run my adultism. I think that what I have found useful is, well, you just mentioned your own instrument. Well, you must have that if you intend to practice and become better. That has, like, I guess because of the way I came into music, that has always been part of the scene. I know I'm very fortunate to, as soon as you express an interest in something, the first thing people get you is the thing itself. So you want to play piano. Notice my mother didn't buy a keyboard or play something. My father didn't get a small pan. They get instrument for you. So it's a sacrifice. So that's the first sacrifice that you must make, is that you really need to figure out ways to get your personal instrument, the instrument that you will develop a spiritual bond with as you develop your craft. Because that's the first step. You develop your craft. The second thing is I think that when the instrument belongs to you, you then have a certain amount of, oh Lord, sorry, me decline now. You have a certain amount of care in the way that you play it, use it, play it. I am anti-slam and hype. I think that your instrument and your music, and remember, well, I have to speak from the position of being an African heritage person in the Americas. Remember, we channel in energy and information. So you have to think about what it is you're doing. So when you have mastered your craft, you then have to soulfully and thoughtfully generate what you're generating and play it.
Mm-hmm.
The pan is not an instrument, and this is pan a la carte, so I'll speak specifically to pan. Pan is not an instrument that we need to slam. You could get what you want out of pan without making the instrument cry. You must make it cry, so don't make it cry. Hone your craft and do your do. Keep,
It
always
have
be
more
thinking
things.
about what you're doing.
Yeah, it
Thinking
have
about
so
what you're
much
doing.
things like I want to get like a guitar song sometime. It has things like a guitar will play and bend the note. Right? I feel I can bend my steel, right? Is because I work on it, right?
Yeah.
I could bend that note,
We
right? I
always
could make that note.
we
It's
talk
not going to
about
look
that in
really bent.
festivals, how Kroll would
Yeah.
make the bass roll a certain way so that you get the effect.
Yes.
You
Yes. He used to make it like a old, like that big bass. Nobody don't play like he, but he used to song like
it's so
upright
rested.
bass,
Yeah. Yeah.
So
So yeah, you're thinking about what you're doing. Now the next thing is, so now the other step is, I'm sure all the young people want to know, well, okay, how I go get out there once I finish doing that? And this is the question that everybody has to wonder about, how we getting out there. I think I still wondering that. But I
yeah.
truly believe, yeah, I wondering it too. I truly believe that if you focus in a certain way and give care to what you're doing in a certain way and meditate on what you're doing, the universe will show you paths that you need to take in order to have this thing happen. But the first step really is the quality of your, well, we kind of have this habit of capitalizing everything, your product. Let's not say product, let's say craft. is
Hmm.
is thinking about the quality of your craft and your message and so on. I think that's useful. Even messages that you don't like, considerable thought has gone into the production of the music.
Yeah.
Even for stuff
Because
that you don't like.
because when I started my one man band, right, 95, 96, right, but you go mash up the thing, boy. That would never work, boy. I get all that from my pan people and everybody, right? So let's laugh now when everybody playing one man, Dr. Ramage is with tracks,
With
right?
tracks.
Right? But when I started it, I gave him a fight down, right? That is quite back 95,
You doing it a
96,
long time, that, yeah.
right? That's a long time, and I see a lot of people live and develop from doing it, right? So my point is, when I started that, I was to get my name out. I hit the pavement. I went in front of people, $75 a happy hour. I used to do 3 happy hour in the evening, right? So that is at 225, right? So you get that, they make it back then 225, good for in the afternoon. They go in the panel after, right? And they grow from on there, right? I invest when I start to make money now, right? Because your price must raise, right? Because you sell yourself cheap here. That don't mean that you don't want anything. You have your cards, you give out your entertainment cards. Somebody who was there took your card and call you. Now you could raise your price instead of 75, you get 350 or whatever, right?
Yeah.
And you grow, right? But you have to be ready. You cannot wait.
For
Yes,
that.
and anytime you don't prepare, right? That's why it's important to practice, right? Because you always have to be prepared, right? You cannot wait for it to come and then you got to rush to. Nobody not time for you when they call you. You always have to put in the work. It is important to invest in just practice yourself to develop yourself to be ready. You know, there's your
I think that,
style.
yeah,
Focus it.
and you bring something good up there in that you have to. It's a heavy weight for our young people, but you have to figure out ways to present yourself, because a lot of the
Mm-hmm.
things where in the past You know, you probably get tired of us talking about back in the day when it had Ramage, when it had Festival, when it had Planet 21st Century, when they had Place to Gig, when it had Anchorage, when it had, you know, we talk about all those things. And all those things are reasons why people would know your name.
Mm-hmm.
So while you were saying you knew my name from 12 and under, I
Mm-hmm.
was 11 years old when I played 12 and under and went on
That's
piano,
right.
you know. And people know my name then. So then when they see my name again in school festival playing pan, they know my
Mm-hmm.
name there. And these things is not like now. When we had a pan festival in this country, the stand used to be full.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yes, the complex was full, sell out,
Pack. For
packed.
school and for big festival, it used to be packed. So
Yeah,
when
yeah,
I when and then they would have snippets in the papers. He just say he see me in the papers. But they
yeah,
would have snippets in the papers. I see my deceased aunt have a little snippet in the paper from when I graduated. There a little a small article. We used to do
that's
those little kind of things. We used to have these little
yes,
small articles so that even
yes,
people would know who they would know yeah, when Ramajay was going on. You would announce who in the band. You would know who playing. Then you
yeah,
know there was always, and also too what a friend of mine was pointing out to me is that people were affiliated with steel bands. You would use a steel band would be a launching point for people. So, and this is not just big bands. I mean, we're talking about, if I think about
yeah,
my co-founder, Moy, and if I think about Glenford Sobers, people would know Kevin Sobers because he was soloing on tenor with Tropical Angel Harps and Panoramache too. They would
mm-hmm,
know that.
mm-hmm,
They would
yeah,
associate Noel La Pierre and the La Pierres in general with the building
mm-hmm,
of Phase 2. They would associate it. When Dane and Clive and Popwell go up in 88 for the soloist competition, they come in from All Stars. When it, you
mm-hmm,
know, we had the Cordettes, everybody had crops of
yeah,
people
yeah,
that
yeah,
you know
yeah,
Fonclairs, Darren and Wentworth
yeah,
and Shiny
poor,
and them, you
yeah,
know,
the Chinese,
everybody was
yeah,
coming from a certain steel band culture and the band itself know the people and the people who support the band know the people in the band. So
yeah,
we had all of that going. Now it's very transient. The young people
mm-hmm,
play in many bands. Some
mm-hmm.
people don't even know the names of the bands. Because when you know when you ask a Trinidad, they don't win Panorama. This year was Desperados and last year was Renegades. They don't know. They don't know who win medium. They don't know who win small. They don't know the names of some of the bands.
That just to tell you, see, that's why that be going back again. Panorama back in the day only had one category, 2 days. Take
But
that back.
the argument was always that you know a lot of small bands didn't make it through. I'll hold the
Yeah,
argument. I'll hold that
yeah,
argument, but it takes away. So in other words, a lot of the forums on which you could have stood and built your home
yes,
band,
yeah,
various competitions and young things, they don't exist. So you need to now concentrate on things that will help to build rather than transient things where you're just you know
correct.
playing small pieces all over. It's better to build somewhere.
So you hear that, young people, right? You hear that how important it is. Yeah, the work you gotta put in.
From these two old people who more voice to buffet.
You know, I had some experience with some young ones by Harmonites, you know, right? How I try to show me, hey, sorry about that. This camera, this photographer does get excited, right? Right? I try to show the guy, say, man, if you go on your toes, right, to bring out the note, you get more effect. The third time I asked him, I said, what happened? You just disrespectful or what? He said, trying, yeah, and you go in UTT, and you're not trying, you don't understand what I'm saying. I said, look at that girl. Of course, they're playing the four pan. You see how she goes on her toes? Look. Take it personal, right? But that doesn't matter because it's the right thing. I don't know how to play instrument. I don't know how to
You have
get
to
the
know.
value, the true value out of you know, to play an instrumental instrument, a percussive instrument, right? You can't be flat-footed all the time, right? You know, so. Yeah, man, Chantel. This is a nice discussion we have. So are we going with the time? Are we going good with the time? We're looking nice. Coming into the source now. Coming into the source. All right, you had a percussionist in your band. Well, Junior,
Yeah, Ashe.
right? You had no drummer. I see you all perform with no drummer, just him for many years. He was the drummer,
Yeah.
right? So may he rest in peace. And I know he's supported and he's given the band strength from where he is. Right? But he's a personal friend because I know him from in the tent. Right? When I was in the tent and thing, he used to come and drum in the tent. He was one of the drummers. And yeah, man, I like that vibe. I like that vibe. You have some good talk about the other brothers, the other sobers. You talk about sober, talk about doggy, talk about
Well,
who is
no,
it that
I didn't talk about Dougie.
no,
I
you
could
didn't talk about
start to
doggy,
talk.
no.
I talk about Dougie, Douglas
No,
Redder.
no, no. You talk about him
Douglas
first.
Redder.
Yeah. Talk about him.
We
Talk
talk
about
about
doggy.
Douglas Redder, Noel La Pierre. You know Douglas Redder. Douglas Redder hat to me is a big hat. I can't. Whew, how much music that man helped support in this country with his quiet self on either bass or pan playing.
Let me tell you what I know about him, right? From that aspect, the bass, he played with everybody.
Everybody.
He played with everybody, right? So, and Dougie, when I meet Dougie in Phase 2 back in the day, like he used to play bass in Phase 2, right? He could play bass real good and thing in Phase 2. But he was a double tenor player,
Mm-hmm.
right? And he was just quiet the same way, the same look, the same everything, right? Same doggy now, the same doggy then, but he used to practice
That is
plenty.
it.
That is the
He commits himself even now to our work. If you playing this with Dougie and he go home and he come back tomorrow, you know he thought about it. He's think about it. He commits himself to the work that he is doing. So the dynamic of Moyen with Douglas Redder as the bassist has been phenomenal because Douglas Redder is the bassist. He and the thing is, when you have somebody like that in your group, you must give them space to play. And
mm-hmm.
I that is has just been, I talk about having Jason, but having Dougie played with Moyen since 2003. And I could tell you, I somebody asked me if one time I was given, they wanted a picture of me on keys, and they said, but all the pictures have this man on your left hand side. We get a piece of fretboard. I tell her, I say, well, that you will get that because the bassist sits on the left hand of the piano player, and that is where he is, and that is total blessing. And then the other benefit that I've had is when he need a piano player, when he doing Dougie and Friends, when he playing pan, I just get
Mm-hmm.
one there too.
I hear you. I hear you. I hear you.
And
I hear
that
you. I
Trinidad
hear
and
you.
Tobago, I know the shows that he has put on within the recent 2 years of Dougie and Friends, of Douglas Red or Quintet, whatever he calling it at the time, has been
Mm-hmm.
really good. And he's been doing a recent thing where he plays bass and pan in the same
Okay.
song, and that Noel, that what the few times he has done it, everybody had to stand up every time because it's just
That's good, man,
phenomenal.
because when we was in Phase 2 in the early days, two of us used to do gigs at this. Well, I had to say this, when I started my one man thing, is doggy amplifier was I used to use it, I used to rent it, rent it from
Yes,
him, and then a day came and he said, La Pierre, I doubt you could get it on this day, because I have a job too on this day. And that is how I meet Ming, and that is how I get my own equipment,
right.
right? But plenty people know Doggy played a part when I started the one man thing, right? Doggy was one who supported me, right? If he wasn't supportive, he would not have had me using his equipment, right?
Mm-hmm.
And back then too, we used to work with Kai. We did some recording with Kassav. Used to go in the studio up in Song Basin,
Song based on.
right? Yeah, the Doggy and I used to do the Kassav pan, right? And working with him is just used to be just normal, man. Just normal. It's just
Always,
he hasn't played on my
always.
show, or he haven't played in Faces because he went more jazz. I am contemporary. I am not jazz. So that with understanding, but maybe in the future something might pop up and he will be able to do something together. But just like you never play with me yet. So
Yeah, true.
Natasha play with me. You
Yes,
understand? Right? So you never play with me, and not to say something wrong. It's just that we
wrong.
never nothing wrong. We
Nothing
just
wrong.
and what caused that Trinidad has so much genres of music or genres of entertainment going on, different things. So everybody has their own space and going on at the same time. So we just get caught up, right? But it's amazing. Dougie is nice. Who else you have in your band?
Right now we have a young drummer. His name is Von Best. He is out of the Birdsong Academy culture in terms of
Mm-hmm.
learning, and he's currently the drummer for Renegades. So he played with them these
Okay.
past 4 or 5 years.
Who the brown skin brother? The brown skin brother?
Yeah,
Oh yeah, I
Von
like
Best.
I like I
Yeah,
like his touch. He came by Harmonites with Sion.
yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Um, but you know, Sober's father is really my brethren,
Cool Joe. Yes,
senior. You
yes,
understand?
senior. Yeah,
Yeah, that's really my friend. That's it. Sober's is my friend, but his father is my
yeah,
brethren. So he
yeah.
used to sit down and talk and give me good advice. You understand? So I have a special connection with the
With
Sobers. Yes,
So West
yes,
Clan
yes.
is a strong one. You know Tony Mason is part of that clan too, right?
Eh?
Yeah, he's
Well, all of them from Shogunas, right? Opposite the Panyard.
exactly. But Mason is Kevin first cousin because Joe, who is your brethren, that is his nephew. It's not even a distant thing. That is his sister's son.
Oh, shucks. Oh, shucks. Wow.
Yeah.
Amazing.
And
Right?
the last member of the group that not the last, but the other member of the group is Gary Hayward. Since Junior's death, sorry, I wouldn't say
Mm.
past, since his death is Gary Hayward. Gary is a protege of Junior's from Northwest Laventille. You know Gary.
I think I see him with the drum on his shoulder this weekend coming by the house. And he was by the house this weekend.
Friday, yeah,
Is it
he was, yeah.
right? I see him crossing the road going by. He goes, hey, where you going?
So Gary's
Nice.
percussionist, Gone drummer, Sobers, Pan, Dougie, bass, and myself on piano. That's us.
Yeah, man. Yeah,
Yeah.
man. Yeah, man. Yeah, man. You have some good years of musicianship inside your group there, man.
Yeah, from young to not so young.
Yes. So we're moving on. We're moving on. All we time looking. Hey, we almost there. But that's good. But Chantal, so what's your plans for the coming up? What's your future? Well, we know we locked down. We can't do. There's only so much we could do. But you're in school. You're teaching. What are you doing? What are you doing?
Okay, well, I have some private students that I will continue to teach when September begins. Just a handful, not a handful, a handful is five.
Mm-hmm.
So, about 12 students or so that I take privately. In terms of performance wise, as I said earlier, we will be focusing on recording performances at the studio
Mm-hmm.
and presenting them as being available via subscriptions, which is you pay a certain amount of money and you get entertainment for the month.
All right.
Um,
So what classes and things going on the same time too?
yeah, that
All right.
classes will resume in September. One of the things that I did last year that I'll be continuing to do is a contemporary harmony class. I did level 1 in September last year, and I sent a notice out to a few well, not a few steel bands, basically just steel bands in town. And
Mm-hmm.
so some young people from Invaders came, and Desperados, my home band too, and Vaughn was there, and so we did that, and they appreciated it very much, even though some of them were attending or have attended UTT. And so I will be continuing. I will do a repeat of the Contemporary Harmony 1 class and also do a Harmony 2 class. So I'll
Okay.
do those two things in addition to the performances recorded at the house.
Right.
Also, Natasha does something called Music Gym, which is an opportunity
Yeah,
to
she told me
work
about
on
her gym
music
business.
improv, and that is also done at the studio. So my
Okay.
whole thing is I will just be generating product from my home space because
So what about
really,
renting the space? I could rent the space. Anybody could rent the space. Where is good on? It's open for rental.
well, it is open for rent. I mean, Tamba has rehearsed there, and within the last year, I invited other. Well, I was thinking specifically jazz because you know my dedication is to Caribbean jazz. So
Yeah.
we've had a thing called Second Sundays where I invited other groups to play. So like Ming and Elan Parley, they've played twice at the house.
Right.
Rylan Brown has played at the house. Eugene Bass has been at the house. You know, Rodney is a regular. We've had Earl several times. Mavis John. So it will Noel. It would never be limited to me. I ain't grow up so. You know my mother.
Right. Right. So I know your
You know
mother, right?
you know that it will
And
never be
and
limited to
and,
me. It
I
would
feel it's not
always
that I
have
know
a
your mother.
package.
Your mother know my family. Would feel
Yes, I know.
know
Thinking
my
about
family.
your dad too. When I come to your
Yes.
show, the other day, and
Yes.
your dad say, "Oh, your mom
Yeah.
going to have to tell him I say she died," you know, because mommy step
Yes.
away, and he say, "What?"
Yeah.
And hold his stomach,
Yes.
yes.
Yes. Yes. Yes. So yeah, your mom used to treat me different. Right?
Yeah,
You should greet me different. And honestly, may she rest in peace.
yeah.
Right? So before we go, right, what's the number one pan program you reviewing these days, girl?
Pan a la carte players only.
Nice. Inside. Inside, inside. Chantel, I want to thank you very much. I want to thank you very much for coming and sharing all this information because I learned certain things talking to you that you did that is quite amazing, right? We never sit down and talk and get into everything, right? I'm glad I could do it now, thank God, right? But you're an intriguing person behind the instrument and a long time now, right? Miss Louise McIntosh was well, Smooth was the instructor and she was the music um, educator at UWI when they started the sight reading and music program, right, back in 87, right? Pan Pipers was already kicking. And the reason why I never go to Pan Pipers is I'm from Tong and traveling to St. Augustine for Pan wasn't my forte. Didn't have no band in St. Augustine attracting me. You understand? Sorry. So back then, going to St. Augustine just for that, nah, I ain't going to dinner, right? But I met her in the UWI program and she was amazing, right? So I knew about her, but I keep you in mind because of that association with Pan Pipers, and I saw plenty pictures there of you, bounce up in performances, and yeah, man, I like your growth and development, and we are friends for quite a number of years. I appreciate that. All right, so God bless you,
Same to you, my
all
brother.
right, and keep that winning smile, all
That.
right, and all we could do is do our best and continue giving our best, and I appreciate that tremendously. So, people, we want to say thank you, Chantel, and may God bless you on your journey. All
Thank you.
right. So, thanks for joining the a la carte, each and every one. All right. I'm yours truly, Noel La Pierre. Here we got a very good interview here with Chantel about her growth and development in the music industry, not just band, music industry. All right. So maybe she'll be a professor soon. All right. We will see. All right. I have high esteem for you and for you and Natasha, you know. Right. I tell Natasha she's a musicologist to be, right? I know I expect you to be a professor, right? Music. So that is when I know the thing will change, right? So God bless you and continue go striving. So people until stay tuned. Right? Don't forget tomorrow we have pan a la carte from noon again. All right. And we give thanks unto it. Peace out. God bless. Chantel,
Yes. Thank you, love. Nice being on.
thank you, honey. All right. God bless you.
All right. Take
So
care.
you take care of yourself. I'll see you soon.
Okay.